Hello friends! I thought we would talk about my schedule because it's the most interesting thing that, is going on right now. No. But I feel like I've gotten some questions about what it's like studying creative writing, what do I do, like what's my life? And I thought I would just kind of, show you my schedule because when I tell people, oh yeah, I'm studying creative writing now, everybody's like, what the fuck is that? Like, what do you do? Like, that's not a degree, that's not a thing. Yes, it is, but I do understand that it might be confusing. So for everybody who's confused right now, I am currently studying literary writing and culture journalism as a major. It was called creative writing last year, they switched it. Everywhere else in the world was called creative writing. I don't know why they do that, but in my major, I think it's kind of like 80% creative writing and 20% culture journalism. So culture journalism is kind of like where you talk about books and music and culture, basically. So we also get an education as a journalist, like how to write an essay, how to write a feature, how to do things for the radio, and like all this journalism stuff. And then my two minors are visual arts and music and voice. So I sing, which is terrifying, but we'll get to that in a second. It sounds like a lot, but I personally love it because I get to go into so many fields and so many different like perspectives of being a creative person, and it's a lot of fun. So yes, if you've known me for a long time, you know that my favorite kind of writing is poetry, and that's what my week starts off with. On Monday I have 4 hours of a poetry workshop or a poetry class. In that class we basically learn how to make our poetry better, and we also learn some theoretical stuff, so kind of like poetics and what is poetry and how to write a good poem, like that kind of stuff. But it's very, very cool to talk about your own writing and get like actual criticism by people who are really smart and have experience writing poetry or reading a lot of poetry. So that's definitely very cool, but it's 4 hours long and I feel like my brain always ends up like being super dead afterwards. Then after that, on Monday, I have my introduction to literary writing course, which is basically just a prose course. So you would think it's everything like theater and screenwriting and prose and poetry, whatever, but it's just prose. So last week, for example, we had to write a character introduction. This week we have to write a setting. So it's very similar to the poetry class, just that it's more theoretical. We learn a lot of how you write good novels or how you write good stories. And we also send in text each week, and then we also analyze our own texts. And then on Mondays, I also have my private voice lessons, which is honestly crazy that at uni we get private voice lessons for free. So yeah, that's been a bit scary because I'm not like naturally a talented singer, but it's definitely a lot of fun, and it's also the reason why I chose music at the end of the day, because last year, I don't think I've ever talked about this, but last year I was taking voice lessons for half a year because somebody I knew turned a poem into a song and I was bamboozled, and then we sang it together and I was like, wow, this gives my writing and my work so much more depth. And I'm not trying to become like a pop star or anything. I think that ship has long sailed, but I do want to get more skills so I can create very on like many different mediums. And I feel like if you've been watching me, you know this, that sometimes when I'm feeling it, I do like a video essay or like pictures, and I just like, I'm not like a classical poet that I just write poetry and that's it. Like, I like to do more with it because I know poetry is very inaccessible for a lot of people, but I want to make it accessible, and through, for example, a song, like that works very well. So that's basically why I'm doing this, because I had so much fun doing it, but it was super expensive, and yeah, now I kind of have that opportunity again. This video is sponsored by CHEEX, and CHEEX is a platform that I've worked with for a long time now because I really believe in what they are doing, and they are basically a membership-based sexual wellness platform. And as you know about me, I am very open about my sexuality. I think it's very important to talk about sex, to get rid of shame and stigma around the topic. And one huge topic when it comes to like your own sexuality is definitely porn, but as most of us know, the porn industry is extremely unethical in so many ways. Like, it would be too long to get into this right now, but that's just a given. And CHEEX is a platform that does ethical pornography as well as other things surrounding sexual wellness. So basically they have watch, listen, and learn. Learn is kind of like a blog where you can learn a lot about your sexuality, about different techniques. It's very much, yeah, you learn a lot. Then listen and watch are more erotic based sounds and videos, but basically that's what it is. And they are all produced under ethical standards. The whole website looks really nice. It's not like gross and weird. It's just aesthetically pleasing and overall a feminist platform for consuming pornography and sexual wellness content that's made for everybody and not just catering to straight white men. We love to see it. If you want to try it out, if you want to see what it's about, you can get a yearly membership and try out my code, which is Valentina11. You have 7 days where you can try everything for free. You can cancel it after 2 days, like within the 7 days, and just check it out for yourself. But it does not apply for the monthly subscription plan. So yeah, you can go in like down below and check it all out. And yeah, thank you to CHEEX for sponsoring this video and for pushing boundaries in the sexual wellness industry, because I think it's very important. So let's get back to the video. Then on Mondays I have tennis, which is not from my university. I just joined a club, but yeah, still. Then on Tuesdays I have introduction to harmony or harmonies. I don't know. That's like the basic music class. It's kind of like music class in school. It's hard for somebody who's like terrible at music. So we're learning how to do like how to read notes, like I don't even know, like just the basics of music theory. It's basically music theory. And then after that I have a really cool class which I love, which is History of Pop Music 1 and History of Pop Music 2 is the next semester. And in this semester we're doing 1800s till 1950s, and it's like so interesting because like pop music, like you would think it starts like in the 50s or 60s where, you know, rock and roll and all of that, and before that it was just like classical music, but it's totally not. And I'm just kind of uncovering so many misconceptions I've had about pop music, and it's just super interesting. And my professor is also really fun. Next week I am doing a presentation in their class. Then on Wednesday I have a writing warm-up at 9. It's right now. I didn't go because I wanted to film this video, but you don't have to go. It's just if you want to. You just get a writing prompt and you write for an hour, and it's kind of like if you're in a writing slump, you can go, and it's kind of like motivational or something. Yes, and then after that I have introduction to culture journalism. So yeah, that's basically what I was telling you about. That's only one class for culture journalism and the rest is creative writing. Then on Wednesdays I have 2 hours of ballet. I have my point class and my regular ballet class, but that's also not from uni. And on Thursdays I have, oh, I was telling you lies. On Tuesdays I have my tutorium for my music theory class, and on Thursday I have my music theory class. It just, because I suck at it, I go to the tutorium and there we kind of like just revise what we did last week if you're like a slow person like me. On Thursday afternoon I have a really cool class which I love. It's a relatively normal literature class, very similar to what I was studying at my old university, where I was studying comparative literature, and that's post-GDR literature. It's a class where we don't write, we just read and analyze. And GDR stands for German Democratic Republic. It's basically East Germany, and it's all authors who were born right at the collapse of East Germany. And it's very interesting because they tackle like a lot of contemporary German political or just societal topics, but just from such an interesting perspective, and also like what does it feel like being born into a system that has just collapsed. Like the past is still there, but you are supposed to adjust to this new reality of living in a unified Germany. So that's just something that's so fascinating to me, because both my parents have migration background. My mom's not German, my dad is also Croatian German, and he grew up in Western Germany, and I did too. I mean, Western Germany, like we don't even say it anymore, obviously, but still. And like being in Berlin, I've gotten to know a lot of people whose parents grew up in East Germany, and just now, like at 20, I started realizing that even in our generation, there's still so many differences. And that's basically what the book is about. It's like the authors are all like millennials. It's just like one generation ahead of us, and it's just very like contemporary novels. I'm sorry, I talked about this for so long, but it's like, it's very interesting. And maybe at the end of the semester, I'm gonna review all the books, because each week we read one book, which is a lot, but they're all so good, and yeah, maybe I'll do that. And then on Thursday, I have my anthology class, which is kind of like weird to explain, but basically it's like a mini lab, and we're writing a book over the whole semester. It's very similar to the introduction to literary writing class. Like we also learn how to write, and but we're also collecting like all of our texts, and we're gonna learn like how to lay out, how to get a book printed, and we are printing our own book. That's like a really cool class, because you start with like 0 words and you end up at the end of the semester with like a hard copy of a book. And I think, yeah, that's just good to have a lot of practical experience. And then on Friday, my last class is writing death, and that sounds wild. Like all of my friends were like, what the fuck? But everybody who knows me knows that's like right up my alley. I love writing about like death and dark things. Yeah, me sitting here in this like blue cutesy sweater, but I just love like delving into like the terrifying sides of being a human being. And we are also reading like some texts each week and getting inspired by their writing style, and kind of learning, okay, how do I write about death? Because there's so many ways to approach it, like in a funny way, like in a sad way, like, you know, like that's basic, but I feel like you get what I'm saying. The books that we're reading for this class are so hot. Like it's such TikTok books. First we're reading Joe and Didion, The Year of Magical Thinking, then Coney Paman, I don't know how to translate that because I just don't know. Then we're reading by Isabel Allende Paula and like The Ghost House. Then we're reading Susan Sontag Reborn, like yes. Then we are reading A Little Life by Hanya Yanigara. I'm terrified. I am terrified. This book, I think it's here somewhere. It's been on my to be read forever. And the only reason why I'm gonna start reading it is because of my class, because I'm so terrified of it, because everybody says that like you're traumatized. So yes, then we're reading Paul Auster, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't really care about that one. And then, oh my god, like this book, I've already read it. It's a German book by Joachim Meyerhof. Alle Toten fliegen hoch Amerika. Wow, a sleigh, a big sleigh. It's so hot. It's a book about this guy in the 80s who goes on an exchange year and then somebody dies, but I literally forgot who. I also, it would probably be a spoiler. But like, you know, I've never read good literature about an exchange year. I've never read a book about an exchange year except for that book. And like, you know, little Miss Valentina Abroad went to Vegas when she was 15. Like, oh, it seems like forever ago, but it was a great time. And especially now that so much time has passed, it was so interesting to like read a good novel about somebody from Germany experiencing like the same thing that I did. So that's definitely something you would want to read if you ever did an exchange year, or even if you didn't. It's just, I love it. It's a bit disgusting, but like in a good way, you know what I mean? that was my whole schedule. I also have meditation class by my uni, so it's free on Thursdays, and I have contemporary dance and ballet on Fridays, which is also from uni. So yeah, that's kind of what my week looks like. I don't know if this was like interesting at all, but if you have like more in-depth questions, you can just like put them down below and I'll see what I'll answer and when, but probably like in some vlogs I can always just, you know, talk about it. Now it's actually 9:30 and my class starts in half an hour, so I have to go. I'm gonna continue the Q&A either after uni when I get back or tomorrow or something.